It's another day, another new report uncovering more corruption in Congress when it comes to prediction sites and insider information. And this time it is centering around a Republican lawmaker, Anna Paulina Luna of Florida. So over the weekend, the Wall Street Journal published a massive expose on Washington's increasing interest in insider trading, specifically with prediction sites like Kalshi and Polymarket. So here's what they said. They said members of Congress and campaign aides are keeping close track of betting odds ahead of key elections, with some seeing them as a better gauge of public sentiment than polling. Political betting on Polymarket doubled to just over $4 billion during the first 3 months of the year, compared with the first quarter of 2025, according to data provided by the nonprofit Anti-Corruption Data Collective. And that makes sense to me that it would be more indicative of where the country is on things, more so than polling, because people lie in polls all the time to make themselves feel better. Maybe they're lying to themselves, whatever the case is. But if they're willing to put money behind what they say, then there is a push-pull there where they want to see that outcome on some level. So according to the reporting though, the election-related bets account for over $325 million, okay? So the Senate passed a resolution in April banning lawmakers in the upper chamber and their staff, who are often privy to sensitive information, for betting on Kalshi and Polymarket. The possibility of government insiders toying with prediction markets also led House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer to launch an investigation last month into potential insider trading. And that's a big deal for James Comer because he doesn't seem to like to do much of his job. He just does a lot of other stuff, but he did do this. So according to Kalshi, multiple campaign staffers have already been blocked from the platform to place bets on their own candidates. And while federal regulators are trying to do more to quash all of this, there's still a lot of insider trading. So just last week, for example, Trump's teleprompter operator, Gabriel Perez, was exposed for allegedly betting on words that Trump would say in his speeches. Again, this is the teleprompter operator. So yeah, he might know a thing or two about what is in these speeches. And he was able to make over $100,000 in wagers. That would be nice to just rake in an extra $100,000. And that's not the only past bet that is getting exposed in all of this, okay? It seems that there were some bets made in 2024 based on tips that Trump would choose JD Vance to be his running mate. And it allegedly, this is all very alleged, I wanna make that clear, it allegedly involved Representative Anna Paulina Luna and the MAGA influencer DC Drano. So over lunch at the Stovall House, a popular members only social club in Tampa, US Representative Anna Paulina Luna of Florida told associates in the summer of 2024 that she knew Trump would choose Vance to be his vice president, according to a person familiar with the conversation. She said she had tipped off Rogan O'Handley, a popular MAGA influencer known as DC Drano, about Trump's pending decision so that he could use the information to place a winning bet on Polymarket, again, according to the source. The Congresswoman teased O'Handley allegedly for not placing a bigger wager. And O'Handley separately told associates that he was behind a long shot attempt, mostly via social media, to get Trump to consider Luna as his running mate, according to a second person who heard O'Handley discuss the matter. So when it was clear that when the Congresswoman told O'Handley that Vance would get the nod instead, he placed a winning bet on Polymarket, and that's according to the source. And again, it's all alleged, and the CFTC from Central Florida has announced that they're investigating the claims. And if the allegations are proven to be true, it would actually be a little bit surprising coming from Luna specifically, because she has been a vocal critic of insider stock trading. And she has been leading the charge to ban congressmen from owning and trading stock. So that would be a little, I would like to hear what she would have to say about that. However, this isn't the first time that Luna has been linked to DC Drano. So 2 months ago, former MAGA influencer Ashley St. Clair, who briefly dated O'Handley back in 2019, she exposed how close the two actually were. So let's take a look.
Get ready with me while I tell you about the absolutely not inappropriate relationship between my MAGA influencer ex-boyfriend and sitting member of Congress, Anna Paulina Luna. When I first started dating Rogan, Mr. Tampa, she did not like me right away. Okay, valid, I don't care. However, she also started group chats with his other friends saying that I was a brand liability and he needed to break up with me. Okay, also valid. As I said, I should have just broken up with him because he was crazy. Then, as I had mentioned before, she was having secret sleepovers that for some reason they didn't feel like they could tell me about. Okay, I will stipulate that they did not have any inappropriate interactions during these sleepovers that they felt they could not tell me about because I'm just too crazy. Right? I was not the only one who was very, very uncomfortable with this.
Okay, so if you are unfamiliar with Ashley St. Clair, she used to also date Elon Musk. She had a baby with Elon Musk. That's kind of how she's most known to at least people on our side of the aisle. But before she started exposing all these people, she was very much so a MAGA influencer. So she has since repented for her ways. She has given a lot of insight into what goes on, not just with Elon Musk, but with a lot of the Republican elites that she had access to during her time as a MAGA influencer. And so now she does videos like this now, and I guess more power to her. So let's hear a little bit more of what she had to say about all this.
Miss Anna Paulina is constantly around Rogan. With his other relationships, she would be calling him in the middle of the night incessantly all the time. And Rogan would excuse this behavior to his other romantic interest by saying she's in Congress and really saying that he was advising this woman quite often. This goes as far as that Rogan's brother, Misha O'Hanley, is quite literally, you can find him on the former congressional payroll because she hired this man as her security, apparently. Rogan is also invested in private jet companies with Anna's husband. He is also the godfather to her child. Now you might be thinking, oh, okay, whatever. They're very good friends, close family friends even maybe. This goes further because Anna also has premonitions and visions that her and Rogan take as reality, okay? Anna goes as far as to say that she had premonitions about all of Rogan's exes. She had visions about them being wrong. She had visions and premonitions about his ex-wife having a rotten spiritual smell. What the
Yeah, I remember I did a story a long time ago, like years ago maybe, about Anna Paulina Luna, and I think I was actually defending her when I did the story because other Republicans were calling her a witch, and I don't know, I thought that was kind of funny. But take what Ashley St. Clair is saying here with a huge grain of salt, because again, these are all allegations, but there hasn't been much attention on these claims, which by the way, were made all the way back in April. So this has been out there for a little while, and Ashley St. Clair is now calling attention to them. Also, there was no mention of this in the Wall Street Journal piece on all of this. And O'Hanley denied St. Clair's implications. This is what he had to say on X. He said, I have never had any inappropriate romantic, sexual, or otherwise improper relationship with any member of Congress. Any suggestion otherwise is completely false and manufactured drama. Of course, he also denied the new reporting regarding his connection to the Congresswoman Luna. So he said, reach for comment, O'Hanley denied receiving, trading on, or discussing non-public information about Trump's vice presidential pick. Any suggestion that I traded on confidential information or discussed doing so is inaccurate, he said in a statement. It's still kind of sketchy. This stuff is very, very difficult to prove either way. But what are your thoughts on all this, Was?
I would just hope people that are watching this show know that, like, if you bet money on Kalshi or Polymarket or whatever these prediction markets are, you're gonna lose. It's essentially designed for this insider trading, people with inside knowledge. And I think they do it in concert with these people. I'd be surprised if they weren't. And that Polymarket or Kalshi would even let people know about some of the more nefarious stuff. It's people that they're not in cahoots with. Because you got to understand, if somebody's winning this money, that's money out of their coffers. Okay. And you don't you don't run a profitable business by allowing people to take loads of money off of you because they had inside knowledge. That's a one. And yeah, and it's, just the idea that anybody in Congress would be affiliated with this stuff is crazy to me. And nobody's ever explained to me the public utility or like the use or the need for these predictions. Like we already have sports gambling, blah blah blah. Like you can go to the casino, play blackjack and craps. What do we need this for? I just don't understand the point of this besides money laundering,
Mhm.
besides insider trading. It's hard to see a public utility in any of this.
Yeah, and it's really just a way to gamble outside of like state guideline or state lines or anything
Mhm.
like that. And the way that they're priming younger and younger people to gamble away whatever money they do have is kind of crazy as well. There's I don't maybe do you know about Roblox and like how that's being used to like prime children to get them
I've
into like a
heard
gambling
about
mindset?
the shadiness of that, but I don't really know much about Roblox because I don't have kids.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I know like my friends' kids are always playing on Roblox. I don't know what goes on over there, but I was with my friend's kid the other day and I was looking at it, I'm like, it looks crazy. Okay. And like, I don't know if that just makes me sound like an old lady, but I'm just like, oh, what are the kids up to these days? But it looked really intense and really distracting. And I get that that's what they do these days, especially with these kids. All their television shows are so distracting and things like that. But it really was just like, oh, I need more whatever to be able to do this in the game. And so they have to like kind of they get into like a gambling mindset that way. So this is the American way now, I guess. This is the new American way. And it's not just like, I know we focus on Anna Paulina Luna and she's a Republican. It's not just about her. There's so many other Democrats even who are very adamant that they're not going to stop doing what they're doing. They are enriching themselves so many times. I know here in Texas, it's only relevant because he's running for the Senate. But Ken Paxton, he's our Texas Attorney General. He makes, I think, $153,000 a year on his salary as the Texas Attorney General. So tell me why he has multiple $1 million homes not around the country and in the world. Like it's crazy how much money these people have. However, they're getting it. And a lot of them are making it through, various ways of, insider trading, right? Even Nancy Pelosi is probably the most notorious example of that, her husband specifically. And she's just like, what do you want me to do? We got to make our money. We're going to make our money. My husband deserves to make his money. But how is he able to do that, Nancy? And the thing is, like, if you know something, it's just in your brain. You can't prove that you had insider information and that's how you made the call. Even when they were arresting Martha Stewart for similar allegations, it's like, why was she the one who had to go to jail and serve time for this? Because this happens everywhere. It happens all the time. It is so rampant, and it really is just like the American way. And when I'm down on myself, I always tell my husband, I'm like, you know what? I'm just ready to do corruption. Let's just do corruption. Everyone's doing it. It's the new thing. I am getting FOMO, and I want that money. I want that corruption money. You know what I mean?
No, I
So
mean, look, and I think that's what's happening with a lot of young people, honestly, as like they don't see a bunch of opportunities out there to have, fruitful careers. And
mhm,
it's like our only hope of attaining some kind of meaningful wealth is this get rich quick schemes like Polymarket and Kalshi. And I think what you're saying is it definitely speaks to that. And that's
mhm.
why young people even find this attractive in the first place because they don't see any other viable or alternatives out there for them.
Yeah, unfortunately, being an influencer or being a gambler for a living is far more lucrative these days than being anything that is an actual job. Like even being a journalist, being a teacher, being an engineer. Being an engineer now is like not the move. Apparently, we don't need them anymore. It's not true. Nothing has changed. We still need engineers, but they're just not going to pay them appropriately. So, you can't blame people for wanting to survive and to be able to provide for themselves and their families. So they're like, you know what? I'll just be an influencer. I'll just go gamble and maybe I'll win something. So
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.